Hi, I'm Jeff, and this is Lithic Metals. Thanks for joining me on part 2 of this experiment. Over the past couple days, we have been dissolving into solution approximately 1,350 grams of 90% pure silver spheres. Maybe I'll put a little picture here. And we ended yesterday with filtering out our solution. Well, this morning off camera, I decided to run a second filtration and just wanted to make sure that we got as much out of that as possible. And I did recover some sediment that settled overnight. So it's one thing with these experiments is you can never over filter your solution. The more stuff you get out, the more times you run it through even the same filter. I'll pour solution through a filter, collect it all, pour it through again through the same filter, because that filter already has pulled in all those little particles, and it just becomes part of the filtration system again. So it's that much more to grab onto the real fine stuff. So anyway, I think we can just get right to business. Have our solution all set. I have some copper pipe at the ready. It's been roughly sanded and hit with the torch just to remove any gunk that could be at the surface. And what we're going to do is we are going to cement our silver back out of solution using this copper through an ion exchange. Typically, I just set the pipe right inside and let it do its thing. But for the sake of this experiment, I think I'm going to try to keep at least one piece here near the front, and I'm going to use a piece of copper that I have from wiring my bonsai to use it to hold into position. If that wasn't clear, let me show you. Let's get cracking here. We'll see pretty much an instantaneous reaction, I suspect. I can do it. Oh, I didn't compensate for the flare of the beaker here. And you can see, if my arm isn't in the way and the lighting wasn't so poor, we already have silver dropping out on this pipe. So I'm going to put the rest of these in right away. And I think I'll change the camera's position after that. See if we can get a better angle and some better lighting here. I think 3 will do it. 4 total. Just want to make sure nothing crazy gets in there. Alright, well, look at that go, huh? It's going to drop quick. Alright, let me reposition this camera. We'll get a better view. Alright, well, that last clip you just watched was approximately 24 minutes worth of time, played at 8 times regular speed, so we got to see that grow pretty quick. And at this point, I'm going to stir this around a little bit, make sure that all of the solution is available to meet the copper. I don't want too much stuck into the silver that we just dropped. Copper's hot. .94 hot, just from the reaction itself. Alright, I'm going to put the watch glass back on. We can keep an eye on it for another minute or so, and then I'm going to cut away, and I'll come back when the reaction starts to dwindle, which won't be long. Well, off screen I just took out our copper stock, and I wanted to evaluate the situation. You know, I've been in kind of a routine where the variables don't change much in my silver process. But this was a little different, and I believe somewhere along the lines I either made an error or I don't fully understand quite yet what happened. You see, as we were cementing the silver, it just was raining off, really kind of blasting off pretty quick. Obviously you saw it in high speed, but even still, you know, usually it comes off in sheets and it's a little bit more relaxed. But this came out like fire. So I'm guessing either one of two things happened. There was still free nitrates in solution, which, you know, I cooked off both batches pretty well. However, I did make a crucial error to my usual routine. Normally when I let the solution sit overnight, I will keep silver, a chunk of silver, in the solution. Those little bits that we pulled out of the filter from the previous video, I should have just tossed those right back in and see if anything happened to them overnight. If nothing happened, then obviously I used up the vast majority of the free nitrates. If they did dissolve, I know that I got to throw some more silver in there and be patient, wait a little longer, and let that burn off. So I made an error. Another thing that I did different was, normally for this amount of silver, I would have diluted our solution quite a bit more. This was I did dilute it. I didn't really measure the ratio. Actually, I have the glass on the numbers on my board here, but I'm not going to take the time to add it up. I just know I did one of two things wrong. I didn't dilute this material enough. So the reaction was just intense, or there was free nitrates in there, and the reaction was intense. So either way, I gave it about 40 minutes, and then I pulled the copper out. The vast majority of your nice clean silver is going to drop within the first half hour, from my experience. So what I'm going to do here, so I didn't want, if I did have free nitrates in there, I didn't want a bunch of copper dissolving into this whatever else. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter this solution off, separate this silver from our solution, put the solution back in this beaker, and then I'll drop our copper stock in there again, just to get whatever is remaining any remaining values of silver out of solution. So for now, I'm going to reposition the camera and we'll get filtering. Alright, we're all set up. I have a qualitative filter in our Buckner funnel. I also have a cheapo coffee filter on top of that, just kind of laid out. It helps keep some of that cake together that we end up with, and it protects the other filter when I go to stir it and whatnot. Gives it just a little extra layer of protection. So, get this out of my way. And let's see. We're all set. Let's just get cracking here. We're going to give it an assist with the vacuum. Alright, I had a slight technical difficulty with the potato that I'm using to film this thing. So I used the opportunity to reposition the camera. I'm going to see how much of this I can fit into this Buckner funnel. That solution is extremely saturated with copper. I'm going to heat us up some distilled water. I'm going to attempt to rinse this out. If it goes well, great. If not, I'm going to dump it back out, split it into 2 batches. We'll just see how it goes. I'll check back with it when our water is warm.
Perfect.
All right, our water's getting hot. Let's give it its first rinse and see how this goes here. Believe it or not, we're still showing color in our rinse water. Not a ton, we're getting there. But we're gonna keep going until it's clear. And then we're gonna do it about 3 or 4 more times. So I'm gonna let that heat up. I thought maybe we'd be in the clear before, so I didn't keep it going. I wanted to double check before I kept going, but yeah. Upon closer examination, we definitely need some more rinses. See how this silver's looking over here? It's pretty crazy. It's really blowing up. It looks like there is a ton. We'll get a closer look here in a little bit, but looks like there's a ton of silver in there, but you'd be surprised. It's just, that stuff is like cotton candy. It is gonna, this is our main batch. This is just the leavings. It's dirty, has many more impurities. However, by the time we're done, it's gonna be 3/9 fine or better. But at this point, what a mess. Alright, I'm gonna let that heat up, and I'll turn the camera back on for our final rinses. That's what we're talking about. Crystal clear. Alright. At least for that batch. We still have this crazy container to do. However, that is not going to be now. Alright, I'm going to reorganize just a little bit, so give me a quick second. Just like that, we're back. Moved our cemented silver off to the left. And I'm going to remove the copper out out of this beaker. Alright, I swapped this around quick. This is going to chill here overnight. I'm going to sit with this for an hour or two. Well, an hour or two. It should take about a half hour to an hour. It's already getting pretty dry. So I'm going to sit with this while this dries, and then I'm going to pick things up in the morning. Been at it here for about... what time we got here? Yeah, been a 12-hour day. Actually, been a 14-hour day, but had to take some time out to go take my youngest daughter to the ER to have a splint put on. She broke her hand at gymnastics. So she's not too thrilled about not being able to go to gymnastics for a few weeks. She's gonna have to have a cast put on tomorrow or the next day. But so yeah. Good 12 hours in the lab, 2 hours at the ER. It's been a full day. All right, I'm gonna let that dry up, and I'll pick back up with you in the morning. And we're back. I got a full night's sleep. My daughter has her beautiful new blue cast. Our cemented silver has dropped and settled. Our cemented silver from the first batch is dry to the bone. And at this point, this stuff here is ready to go into the furnace. So we can set this aside, and I think it's time for us to decant this beaker and start filtering the remaining silver. So let me get set up, and I'll be right back. Alright, we're all set up to decanter our solution here. We're going to do it by the way of siphon. I'm just filling up this tube here with water. Almost there. All right. Let's see here. Okay. All right, I think I'm just going to insert this in here for now. And I'm going to get it about halfway down, and I can come back and grab it from there. Isn't that a beautiful blue? That cobalt blue is just something spectacular. That is highly saturated with copper. Just want to make sure that that doesn't pop out on me here. All right, and I'm gonna let this drain right off into my stock pot here, which is below the fume booth. And here we go. Get it right down there. I'm going to try to get as much out as possible. It'll just save time filtering. Could be some slight values left in solution yet. So this goes into the stock pot and will be treated further down the line. I have copper in my stock pot, which cements out the remaining values. You could even drop platinum group metals and gold. I want to get down there, but I don't want to get down there so much that it sucks the that it sucks the silver up. Call it right there. And then I'm going to transfer this over and flush it out real quick here off camera. Hang our hose back up. Okay, now we've gotten down there. So I think I'm gonna get our funnel set up with filters here and get our vacuum line set up. Give me a second here, I'll be right back. We still have quite a bit of washing to do, but I want to take a look at this solution here. Isn't that beautiful? Really something else, you know, silver, gold, they are well, they have obvious properties that everybody loves. But copper, to me, I'm just as fascinated with copper and its beauty. I live close to Michigan's Upper Peninsula. It's just a day's drive away, and every year we go up for our annual copper hunts. My brother and couple good buddies tag along, and we all go up and go into the old copper mines and metal detect through the tailings piles, and we find some great specimens. A lot of fun stuff. Some half-breeds with half-breeds, they call them. They're half copper, half silver. You know, the beautiful specimens. Maybe we can even do some videos later on this summer when we head up. I'm sure we're gonna take at least 2, 3, maybe 4 trips up. Found a beautiful abandoned town that used to be part of the heart of the mining industry up there. It's just magnificent. Buildings that are made out of foundations that are made out of these huge boulders right up the side of a hill. And there's just nothing left but these massive foundations that it looks like it's 1,000 years old, where really it's probably only been abandoned for 100 years. But all right, I like to chat about copper. You do get to mess with some fascinating colors when you get to play with these precious metals. All right, what I'm going to do next is I'm probably just going to pour this off right away and clear that out of our path, and then I'm going to heat us up some distilled water so we can start washing this. And I was going to pour some cold water in, but there's really no point. Give me a minute. I'm going to get some water heated up, and we'll go to town here. I got us all set up for our filtration. Get a temperature on this water here. About 87 degrees. That's just about perfect. Let's give it our first rinse. We're gonna see this rinse water come out pretty blue still. Stir this up. This won't be nearly as drastic as the first batch. This stuff is so light and fluffy. Did I estimate 200 grams? If that, I don't know. Compared to, it could be deceiving just because there's so much in that last batch. This is, the last batch was about 4 times what I normally put in this. This is about half as much as I normally put in this. Stir it up good. Break all those little fibrous particles apart. If you look at them under a microscope, they are crystals. They're little crystals, but it's fibrous, absolutely. I mean, it looks like crystal hairs under the microscope. I got a video camera on my microscope. I think we should record a little of that. That would be informative. All right, I'm gonna get this vacuum going, and we'll just keep plugging away here. I didn't notice it in time, but I was peeking over the top of the camera and I watched this crack grow from this hairline fracture all the way out, and it was cool. I'm sorry that you probably missed it. All right, I'm gonna pour this off. You notice how dark it is. You know, you would have thought that the first rinse would have took it out, but I'm gonna pour this off. We're gonna let this heat up to proper temperature, and we'll give it another wash. We'll probably be surprised with how much blue still will be held in the solution here. All right. We will begin our next wash. All right, we're done with our second wash. About to begin our third. I'm gonna empty this reservoir here. You can still see plenty of color, which means plenty of copper contaminant that was still left in our silver powder, cemented silver. So we'll just keep washing away until that comes out clear. As you can see, it's cold now, but as you can see, our solution is nice and clear. Clear as in color. It is a bit hazy. Some of the very, very fine particulates have made it through the coffee or the filter. A couple of times I washed it up pretty high. Yeah, I might even scratch a part. I don't know. Nothing terrible. No major loss. A fraction of 1/100th of a gram. Just enough to make it cloudy. However, it is clear of color, so I think we're good in that aspect. And we can put this back into the system here quick. That rinse water I saved separately. I'm gonna reuse that in a future batch of silver for the digestion. So those little silver particulates will get pulled into that. So we'll save that out. It isn't much, but we'll take it. All right, and here is our little cake of silver. Let's just pop it in the pan here. I'm gonna let these filters dry on their own. Normally I like to blanket it. This is so thin that I think it'll dry up pretty fast. And this is going to be treated separately. When it dries, I'm able to knock it off and get the big stuff off, and then the filter will go into the silver filter box. I don't know why that was tough to say, but all right. Well, while this heats up, we'll cut the camera away, and I'll come back to it when it's all dried up. Man, I think I could have done that better. All right, our silver is completely dry, and it looks better than I feared it might. We still picked up some excess copper, but we're still real close to. I'm certain we're looking still at around 98% pure, and the silver cell will take care of the rest. So I think it's time to fire up the furnace and melt all our cemented silver into shot. I'm gonna go get set up.